What's good? What's good? What's good, YouTube? It's Stormybman, and I'm back for another Friday night chop session. All right, for the evening of Friday, October 4th, 2019. We are here this evening to give you another good evening at the end of the week of talk of boxing. And this evening, we got a very special guest with us this evening. We got D-Style Boxing. D-Style Boxing is joining Stormybman for this Friday night chops session, episode number 29, for the first time. And I want to welcome D-Style. How you doing, brother? How you doing out there?
I am doing excellent. I want to thank everyone joining us live and everybody that will join us on archive. Número 29. I'll do some Spanish translation too, if you want. It's all good. Go ahead.
Yeah, that. And also,
that was number 29. That's what that meant.
Okay, yeah. And we got also my brother, Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens. How you doing, Reggie? What's going on with you, brother?
Man, I'm doing good, OG. What's up, my brother D Styles? What's up to the chat, man? Doing real good. Ready to get into this, hot week, man. Some great news. I mean, not good news in all the stories, but we got some stuff to talk about.
Yeah, tonight, I think as we approach this evening to bring our boxing talk out, we had some late developments that really kind of threw things for a loop, and we will get to that in due time. But I want to open up with a little bit of a greeting to everybody that's in the chat with us. We got Miss Boxing out there. We got Mark Wunderlich. We got Denise Wards. Miss Boxing, the Boxing Spreadsheet, Earl Taylor Sr. Who else we got here? Gigi. As people file in, one of the things that I wanted to stress here is having my new and important friend and guest, D-Style Boxing, a brother who's been a part of the boxing community for a long time out here on YouTube. And I had the honor and privilege to be invited onto one of his streams, a couple of his streams over the past week and a half or so. And it's been a wonderful experience being able to grow and meet new people and get more versions of the talk of boxing out here. And I just want to say it's a pleasure to have you with us this evening, brother. One more time. I just wanted to say that.
No problem, bro. Glad to be here.
So, Reggie, this is what I would like to do. We know that there's some hot things that are literally hot off the presses. But before we get to that, why don't we take a moment and have as we get ready to go into this weekend of boxing, basically somewhere there's some boxing tonight, but we know that tomorrow night there's a couple of cards going. But why don't we give a final little look back on what we saw last week with the Earl Spence Jr. and Sean Porter fight. What would you like to cap the weekend off after hearing so much that has been said, what has been brought out, and how in the aftermath of what I felt was a wonderful display of two young warriors trying to be the best that they could be on that night when they found each other across the ring from one another.
Man, a lot of lines been drawn, man, without people showing appreciation. It's a lot of people drawing the lines, adding a lot of fandom behind it. The sport is about fandemonium at points, but the sport is also about fans being respectful to the game of the sport and just keeping it true. A lot of what has been injected into that great epic event, a classic, an event that's probably going to throw both of these fighters into the Hall of Fame, a bout that's going to be talked about for years to come, and it's probably going to be turned into the bout can turn into something of historics that turn into a film, into documentaries. Now, what a lot of people are doing is injecting a lot of outside stuff into this game. Now, this line between Crawford and Spence has been drawn into the game, and I think that's just the most complete and other nonsense that's been brought into this situation. Bud has nothing to do with this. This is an event between Sean Porter and Errol Spence, and it happened to be a great event. Now, a lot of fans are drawing their lines. I'm a fan of both fighters, but I'm also a fan that keeps things real when it comes to the sport. There's no way you can inject someone that had nothing to do with this event. And that's the craziness that's going in. But that's what happens when fans get too caught up and too emotionally spirited by who they like and who they don't. And I think that's just the most backwards thing that's been coming down. So a lot of us, I ain't going to say myself, a lot of fans are starting to look like how AJ fans was, and they don't see it. And that's kind of really all that I have on that one. A lot of fans just don't see it. There's no separation in what we've seen with AJ trollish fan type behavior to what we're seeing now amongst a lot of the folks we respect.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I can see the point of what you're trying to make there, and well, not what you're trying, what you've made. And as we begin to round this out, it should be said that the most important thing is we got a chance to see two young champions in their virtual primes, going at it. And this is all we've asked for from the sport. And there are others out there still to get their turn to compete with the two warriors that competed last weekend. But the fact that it has taken so long to get to this point, it's almost bittersweet. But I can't deny that I enjoyed when it finally came to pass what we were able to witness. And I want more. You can't take step backwards, after delivering something like that. You can't. You have to maintain. And that's what I think the call should be, to maintain, not to take step backwards, not to step down, but to look ahead and to look up. D-Style, my brother, what do you have to say about it?
Let me tell you something, bro. Right? Let me tell you guys something. Do you know how many times, right, I've sat there and watched the main event of a pay-per-view fight and it didn't live up to any of the hype, right? They hyped the shit up, right? They got people all excited, right? And a bunch of people in the middle of the fight that you invite to your house to watch it, what are they doing? Okay, they're talking about what they're going to do tomorrow, and are you going to have a cookout tomorrow at the house? Or this is a fight, all right, that exceeded expectations. And we already expected a great fight, as it is, but it even exceeded that. And it gave us something that boxing needs. Sometimes it's not good to hustle people. It's not good. Sure, you sold a lot, but then you lose a bunch of people and you give them a bad taste in their mouth. This fight created return customers. People watched that and they said, yeah, I want more of that. Give me more fights like that. And the beautiful part about it, because these were two fighters using skill in there, but in the end, it came down to will. Not because they just decided just to, exchange just because. No, because that's the direction that the fight went to. And that's what it came down to. It was beautiful, man. It was good for the sport. I hope they run it back. That thing makes over $500,000 if they run it back. All right? And it will be good. And I do not want to see the Danny Garcia fight. No offense to Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia could get some smoke with somebody else. Okay? Right now, they run it back. I doubt the Crawford fight happens, but since I don't think that's going to happen, for Spence, it's either Pacquiao or Porter. That's it, man. Great fight. This fight was excellent for boxing. And it is a fight that you can watch over and over again. You remember back in the day, like the VHS fights? You would record a fight on VHS on your VCR, and either you kept that fight forever, although now we don't have to, right? Or you recorded over it if the fight sucked. Because you would always record. There was no DVR back then. Okay? This is that fight you don't record over. Okay? This is a fight. It makes a cut. You get the Sharpie, right? And you write down Spence Porter if it were still in those days. it would make the VHS cut, if you know what I mean.
Hey, and D-Style, not to cut you off, you could keep cooking, but let me just add this little tidbit. And if you didn't want to record over Earl versus Spence, of course you wouldn't want to do that. You break that little tab off on the VHS. Remember that little tab for the recording? If you break that little plastic piece off, then you can't tape over that tape again unless you put tape across it. See, I'm a real VHS guy. You there? Reggie, you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. D-Style, you on mute?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
D, are you there?
Yeah, D-Style, you still on mute?
D, you gotta take yourself off mute, bro. At the lower bottom portion of the screen, remember I told you? He got himself muted.
But yeah, we might as well roll to D-Style get back.
Yeah, okay. But as he was saying, that is the classic that is worth, preserving. And the way that you preserve that is you honor it by, again, as I stated earlier, not taking a step back, but remaining, steadfast on pursuing that type of excellence going forward. And I say that type of excellence because we're talking about in today's era. That might not necessarily be on par with excellence in a past era where it would be simply the norm. But we are so far removed from what used to be the norm that this has been, placed in that pantheon of excellence. It is excellent that we see guys of today competing.
Yeah, you bet.
Competing against one another, competing to show that they want to be the best, who have worked hard in the gym, that didn't go through the means of cheating, okay, and cutting corners and looking for the easy route, but someone who has put their wares to the test and don't mind running it back and saying, hey, you might have got me this time, but I'm coming back for mine next time. And that's important. And it's important that the rest of boxing stand up, because if we can enjoy quality like that, you can't keep giving us peanut butter sandwiches, when we've had steak dinners. You can't do that. And the public shouldn't stand for that. I want to take 1 second and acknowledge some more people who have fallen into the building. We have over 20 viewers right now, but we've got only 10 likes. People, can we get those likes up? You got a good panel here this evening to talk boxing for you, and I want you to show a little respect and let them know that you appreciate what they're bringing. We got Brooklyn Child Boxing. He says, salute, fellas. I'm listening while I'm drinking. Man, he says, driving. Yeah, right. Okay. Earl Taylor Sr. says, 100. Mark Wunderlich says, Brooklyn Child Boxing, my brother. DOG 215 says, I'm in the cut listening at my gig. Salute Stormybman and the chat. And don't forget the panel, DOG. We got D Styles Boxing and Boxing Conversation with Reggie Owens. Miss Boxing says, the boxing spreadsheet. Hey there. Earl Taylor Sr. says, facts. And I think we had a couple more people in here. Legendary Topcax is in the building. PK Boxing and MMA says, salute, coach, on the road listening in. He was going to join us tonight, but he said if he was driving, he would. Who is this? We got Nopal Boxelanos says, salute Stormy and D-Style in chat. What's good with you? GG is out there. King Louis is out there, says salute Stormy. Salute to you, King Louis, my brother. Who else we got here? Kenneth Johnson is in the building, says salute Stormy B Man, panel and chat. And I think that's Trey X is in the building. What's good with you, Trey X? Says salute Stormy B Man and the chat. Mike Hennigan is in there, says salute Stormy B Man and the panel. One thing I want to say, legendary Top Cats. Brothers and sisters, if you have not been to that brother's channel to see what he is doing with his documentaries, please go and subscribe and catch and be waiting like me anxiously on the next drop, because this brother is doing some wonderful things over there at his channel, Legendary Top Cats. Man, I thought I was watching some Spike Lee productions over there, man. He's doing some really good stuff on some historical aspects, Black Murderers Row. So go over there, give some love and support to my brother, Legendary Top Cats, because he needs that support. Brothers on the panel, have you guys seen what Legendary Top Cats has been doing?
Yeah, let me pay homage to Legendary as well, man. Yo, absolutely high quality stuff. That's some scholarly type stuff, man. You could took that to film school for a master's program, like on some real stuff. I ain't just trying to show support because we part of the brotherhood. None of that. I'm keeping it real. That's some thorough research you put into that. The quality of the layout on that work is masterful stuff. And what you put out, it draws you. It's entertaining, and you give a deep aspect on the history of these legends, of where they come from, where the people come from, where the roots start. Hey, I'm promoting that. Y'all go watch this work. And historic work is what I love, and that's what I put my focus into paying attention to, because I'm a student of life until the casket drop. But great work, Legendary Top Cat. I got to salute you on that one.
Oh, man. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. D Styles, are you back now, bro?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Hey, have you had a chance to catch Legendary Top Cats series on the Black Murderers Row?
I have not had an opportunity to check out Legendary Top Cats.
We're talking about it right now because everybody should stop, take a moment, go subscribe to the channel, subscribe first, and then hit that bell icon so you can get the notifications of the next joints that's dropping, because he's dropped a couple of gems right now. And like I said, Black Murderers Row, it's a series he's doing. He's giving you history lesson. He's giving you the background of the sign of times, what was transpiring during these fighters' lives and their careers. It is wonderful stuff. When I said it's like Spike Lee type joint, man, with the music mixed in and the jazz, oh my God, it is wonderful stuff. Reggie was not exaggerating. So I want everybody out there to take a moment to go over to Legendary Top Cats channel and check out his material. You will be impressed, and you will be waiting like I am on the next joint to drop, Black Murderers Row. Good stuff, my brother. Salute to you. So, yeah, I wanted to also acknowledge a couple more people who have jumped in. I said Kenneth Johnson. We've got AMG2 is out there. He says, I agree, I want the rematch. And Legendary says that the boxing spreadsheet appreciate you, OG. I'm going to try to have fun with this series. Hey, man, we are waiting on it, bro. It's good stuff, man. Ain't nobody exaggerating over here. Trey X says, salute Stormy B-Man in the chat. What's good, Trey? Mike Hennigan, he's saying salute. I think I read that one. Wow, it's jumping up on me now. That's what happens when you get to talking about good stuff that people, want to sign off on. Sheldon Holmes is out there. B Brown, it says, I'm out there. I'm at work listening. Let's see who else we got. Wow, this is a Mike Hennigan says, yes, that series, Sankofa Boxing by legendary Top Cats, is fire. Derek Bailey is out there. He says, salute at Stormy B, man. Don't forget the chat. We got my brothers here. And Treyx says, appreciate that, fam. Salute. The next thing, brothers, as we begin to talk, there was something that we had touched on here. And D Styles, I would love to hear your take on this after I present the topic. When we saw a few weeks ago Tyson Fury struggle through death against Otto Wallen and was cut like a pig in a slaughterhouse, and the fight wasn't stopped, but they let the man finish the fight. We just saw recently that Anthony Durrell's fight was stopped on a cut, but Tyson Fury was allowed to leave 4 quarts of blood around the canvas and on everybody that was sitting ringside. And we were told before all of this shenanigans that he was a master boxer. I disagree. Now, I want to know, because we haven't had a chance to hear on the Stormy B-Man channel D-Style's take on a master boxer and what a master boxer is. But I will present a few names that I wrote down from the annals of history from the heavyweight division for master boxers. And the true master boxers that I have found that I can give honor to are Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali, Larry Holmes, and Lennox Lewis from the history standpoint of the heavyweight division. I'm not saying that there weren't more, but these 4 guys stood out to me as master boxers. And each one of them had a reign at heavyweight that contested either them rematching guys who were definitely qualifying challengers, but not just that, but men who they felt brought the best out of them. And then also others here who were so good, such as Lennox Lewis, that he literally beat every man he faced in the ring as a professional. In other words, even though he may have lost, he avenged his losses. So he beat virtually every man he faced in the ring. Brother D-Style, what does especially applying it toward the heavyweight division, because Tyson Fury is of note here that they called him a master boxer. What does a master boxer look like to you in the heavyweight division?
Look, I mean, obviously you got to think about Muhammad Ali for sure. Like, I think of a Jersey Joe Walcott is who I think about when I think about a master boxer, you know, in the heavyweight division. You know, Tyson Fury to me, look, he is a good, you know, he's a good boxer. Don't get me wrong, he is good for his size. Like, he moves big, like he moves good for a big man. You know what I mean? But I think a lot of it is showmanship, to be honest with you. Like people are impressed with him putting his hands behind his back when he's standing, like, you know, his opponent, you know, and that somehow captivates some people's imaginations for whatever reason. But let me tell you something. A simple jab to the chest throwing you off is not something that would happen to a master boxer. That's all Otto Wallen was doing, okay? He was throwing a jab to this. When he was trying to jab the head, yeah, he has pretty solid head movement. But once he started jabbing that chest, it froze him in place. And that was allowing Otto Wallen to slap the dude around, all right? And he was also hitting him to the body. He was, you know, he had the defense of a punching bag when it came to the body shots when Otto Wallen was, you know, swinging at him. Guy with arms that long, I mean, not utilizing his elbows to block those body shots was very surprising to me. Very well for a guy his size, and for the crop of talent, if we're honest, that we have right now in the heavyweight division, he definitely stands out as one of the most skilled boxers for sure. This is not a very talented crop, if we're honest, you know. But about that, as far as the cut thing, I will say this in fairness. Did allow, it was 2 different types of cuts. One was in the eyebrow. It was terrible. It was grotesque. But Tyson Fury was willing away at Wallen, you know, and he was winning some of those rounds. Like, he was competitive, whereas the Durrell Benavidez fights did start to get one-sided. It started to feel uncomfortable watching, in my opinion, Benavidez beat the brakes out of Durrell. Like, he was really beating the hell out of him, where I was wondering, what the hell is this ref thinking? Doctors were looking at the cut on both fights and allowed the fight to continue, right? But Tyson Fury was never getting, he was never against the ropes, getting well done like that, like flush over and over again, the way Durrell was in fairness. I think what stopped it was the constant damage that was occurring in the latter fight. I think that's the main difference in that, to be honest.
Okay. All right. Reggie, what do you have?
Man, I agree with everything D-Style said about Fury. He's just has good enough movement for a big guy. Master boxer, nowhere close to being that. He doesn't display anything that I've seen from great heavyweights. And like I always say, my favorite heavyweight of all times, my favorite fighter of all times is Lennox Lewis. And when I go down the line of watching other great heavyweight athletes, Tyson Fury doesn't make up. And like D-Style was saying, he's just a showman. And that plays off into what some of these moral victor type fans will give credit for. But when I'm seeing in the ring from him, I'm not seeing a display of anything but clownish type behavior. And then with the story of a lot of people buy into a story rather than buying into the actual performance in the ring. A lot of people got caught up in his comeback from this lie of mental health. It's nothing more than a comeback from dope addiction to me. And that's what I call it as. But as far as seeing anything inside the ring, there's nothing displayed. There's nothing any of these people who call themselves fans of Tyson Fury will go back and rewatch. Not a one. And I can guarantee that. There's nobody who goes back to rewatch and study any film on Tyson Fury and want to emulate anything he has done. And that just ends it for me right there. This dude is nothing when it comes to the sport. But it's just an addition to adding into the marginalizing and discrediting of black athletes who have to go out there, prove themselves, and work probably 10 times as hard to get an ounce of credit from certain streams of media. But that's all I find. Nothing close to a master boxer at all to me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Want to take a moment to go back to the chat again. Legendary Topcast has said, appreciate y'all. That means a lot. As far as the shouts out there we were giving him and the recommendations on the subscriptions to his channel. Trey X says Top Cats is a tough 100. Kenneth Johnson is at Legendary. Who else we got? Mike Hennigan says yes, that's that series. Oh, I read that one already. Derek Bailey is out there. We got Scrapbook Boxing in the house. Scrapbook, what's going on with you, brother? Shout out to Scrapbook Boxing, who just recently went over his 1,000 subscriber mark and is celebrating people that are finally finding out what's happening on his fisticuff series. I mean, Scrap drops some wonderful joints. It would be nice, my brothers on the panel, if we could see a collaboration between Scrapbook Boxing and Legendary Top Cats. We could have the LDBC Oscars for that. What do you think, Reggie?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
The LDBC Oscars. Who gets the Oscar this year? Top Cats and Scrapbook for their compilation. Boy, that would be great. Oh, and also contributing as co-producer, Blood Boxing. Hey, we should have some awards, man. That's hey, I tell you something. When people do good things, they need to be applauded. You know, we hear so much negativity out here. It's easy to talk about somebody who done messed up, dropped the ball, you know, called timeout when there wasn't no timeouts left, all of that. But when somebody does something really nice and great, and it brings up the platform that we're on, and we're positioning ourselves, it should be applauded. It should be given that great salute. And I believe in doing that, because encouraging people, it goes a long way. You don't know what a kind word can do. just like an evil word towards someone. So that's why I continue to say these things, and it's not said enough, especially amongst us. So we need to do that and take care of one another in that regard.
Let me just say something real quick.
Go ahead.
Look, I found out about Scrapbook. I just found out about Legendary Top Cats. I already subscribed. You know what I mean? But as far as Scrapbook goes, let me tell you something. I found out about Scrapbook on a shout-out video that Haplotype did. Gave me a shout-out, and a couple of people shout out, and he talked about Scrapbook, and I just, subscribed to all the people he gave a shout-out to. About like a week, but I finally just decided to click on Scrapbook Boxing, and I ran into dude. I just got to be honest. Like this was some really good content. All right, Scrapbook Boxing has some really good quality content. He's also a really good storyteller. Right, storytelling. You either got it or you don't. Okay, there's some dudes out there that they just don't got it. You know what I mean? Like, there's some dudes out here that do a lot of, I'm not going to mention any names, but they do a lot of quote-unquote history stuff, but they don't have the soul, to tell you the story. And Scrapbook does have that. And I'm not just saying that, okay? Like, I've been saying that for months. You guys have to subscribe to Scrapbook. Award channels that put in work and do some positive for the sport like this. Too many channels, okay, that all they do is quote unquote beef with other channels and just stuff that has nothing to do with boxing and talk, the A side, B side, and all this other crap, right? And they get views when they talk crap about another channel and all this other nonsense, all right? I mean, I hate to say it, but when I've talked shit about other channels, they get more views than my regular boxing, videos. We need to stop doing that. Start rewarding channels like this, man. Scrapbook is a solid channel. Okay, I'll go as far as say he's probably the best channel on YouTube as far as boxing goes, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I want to continue on with this one because with me, I love to see these documentaries. Even the one that Blood put in, legendary Scrapbook, man. And I want to put together history, but I'm like, they ain't my lane, so I stay out of it because I'm like the work they put together. I got to bow down and remove myself and just anticipate when these brothers are going to drop that work. And hopefully you guys continue to drop that work, drop more and more of this content, and it's going to pick up steam. All of it's going to pick up steam. Me personally, I don't worry about numbers. You just worry about the work. And at some point, it comes around at the right time, the right person clicks on it, and voila, things just take off. But that quality of work y'all put into there, the quality of work that Top Cats put into that work, man, keep doing that shit, man. Keep doing it.
Yes, sir. We got a few more in the chat here. We got GG. We got Derek Bailey. J1 Pro is in the house. 88 Sports Talk has joined us. What's good, 88? And also someone has said in the chat, Boju Thibodeau. What's going on, Boju Thibodeau? I am Ill Will. What's up? Gil Coles. DOG 215. Someone mentioned in the chat that it's Trey X's birthday. Happy birthday, Trey X, man. I didn't know it was your birthday. So happy birthday to you, brother.
Feliz cumpleaños. There you go.
Haha. Yes, sir. And, this is a wonderful thing, man. I'm sorry. I'm not wanting to get off the track of boxing. But seeing the community come out like this and give the kudos and the love and showing their respect like that, man, it warms my heart because I tell you, when I decided to do my own channel, it was inspiring from seeing the conversations about the sport that I love most, and being able to see the different points of views and everything, even if it was something that I didn't necessarily agreed to, but the fact that the conversations were being had, that's That's important because conversations rule the nation. That's what it's all about. And as long as we can do these things and you see people come back, they come daily, whenever you're on, here they go, they popping up and everything. That's wonderful, man. That is wonderful. So with that being said, I want to move on, brothers, that we have more topics to discuss. Let's take a moment and talk about the state of the middleweights and what's happening tomorrow evening as we see that Gennady Golovkin is going to be taking on Sergey Deverenchenko. This is a fight that's going to be for 2 vacant belts, I think, with the I think it's the IBO and what is it, the WBA. I don't know. There's so many of these joints out there. But D-Style, can you tell me what you think about this proposed matchup between Deverenchenko and Triple G? What do you think is happening with this fight?
The other belt is the IBO, right?
Yeah.
Shame on any boxing media and shame on anyone who is, just another sanctioning body. We need another one. Like IBO, and now it's then it's going to be the IBC, and then it's going to be the WWE, and then it's going to be like it's never going to stop. Okay, but I can't even believe that this IBO is being recognized. To be honest with you, we need to stop recognizing the IBO. Right? Everybody collectively, new media, old media, but it's just in boxing we can't all just for the good of the sport. God save us all, but. The fight itself, okay? He is out here chasing Canelo, right? And I don't care what any Triple G fan says. People are going to be like, oh, you're Mexicano. That's why you're saying that. No, let me tell you something, right? Everyone who knows me knows I've been very critical about Canelo Alvarez, all right? Diva, if I've ever seen one, he is la niña fresa, all right? But I will say this. Man moved up and he's going to fight Kovalev. Okay, that's another date. Right now, Gennady Golovkin, all right, is going to be fighting a dude that did beat him in the amateurs, right? Now, granted, psychologically, that can have an effect, but I got to be honest, man. Shevchenko, I can speak 2 languages, but I cannot pronounce that name, okay? Shevchenko, is that how you pronounce it?
Deverenchenko.
Deverenchenko. Okay, let me tell you something about this dude. First of all, I do not want to be pronouncing this dude's name.
Just say again. Sergey. Like a Black Fight fan says, it's me, Sergey.
Well, there you go. All right. I just want to complain about how long his name is, but I don't want to complain about it no more. So I need Triple G to knock him out. Right. Is to stop chasing Canelo. The first fight was a draw. He took both your O's, bro. He took the draw, the O on the draw, and he took the O on your loss. He beat you by boxing you, and he beat you by standing forward after you challenged the man to quote unquote fight you Mexican style. All right, what happened, Mr. Backfoot? Well, did he have bone spurs on your front foot or something? What happened? He lost that fight, so now he's going to fight this dude, Sergey, or whatever the hell his name is, okay? This guy's got 1 gear, bro. He's a really basic fighter. I know his nickname's the Technician, and he's good at what he does, but it's 1 gear. Drive. That's it. Not the stick, bro. Right? This is drive. Forward. Okay? Reverse. Back. That's all this dude's got. Right? So I think he's going to get knocked out later this fight. Reggie's over there. I don't know what Reggie's thinking. Okay, Reggie just wants to go for the underdog. Okay, so Reggie's like, oh, Sergey's going to do it. Based on what? I don't know. All right, dude can't see the 3rd punch coming, okay, to save his life. Go watch the Jacobs fight. Every time Jacobs threw more than a 3-punch combination, he couldn't see the 3rd punch coming. He would anticipate it. He would tighten up, right? But 3rd punch, he never saw it coming. Together, he's going to put this dude away, but I need him to stop chasing Canelo already, right? Like some bitter, ex and shit. don't want to be with you no more, right? And you need to get that smoke, right? With either Charlo or Andrade is what I think. Those are my thoughts.
That was some good stuff, man. Reggie, what you got to follow that up with, bro?
Man, like I said on D Style channel the other day, I got Derenchenko defeating Triple G. Is there a little biasness behind it? Yeah, I think I'm probably am a little biased because I do want to see the defeat of Triple G. But also what goes in behind that is I think that Triple G is starting to diminish a little bit. I think Father Time is inside that ring with him. We've seen a slow track with him. Seen it happen with how that first round played out with Montes Rosian, who was just not strong enough of a fighter, but the stuff that he put on Triple G in that bout. Also, Triple G against Steve Rose. Steve Rose had good success against Triple G and took him a couple of rounds. But the power, something that Steve Rose just couldn't keep up with, defensive lapse. Now, this guy, Derenchenko, this is the big opportunity for this guy. He's motivated. There's a lot of history with these guys, based on the region in which they come from. That's a lot of motivation that can really fuel and fire someone up. I just think this is the moment that that just propels Derenchenko to become a better fighter, better looking fighter than what it was against Jacobs. And then, in my opinion, I thought he had a better bout against Jacobs than Triple G did. He was backing Jacobs up quite a bit in that fight. Jacobs having to reset. You've seen Jacobs running to get out of position where this guy was coming at Jacobs. But I think he's more familiar going in there with Triple G. I believe he defeated Triple G inside the amateur systems. And I think a lot of people don't put into the amateurs, but I think what happens in the amateur bothers a lot of fighters. We've seen the same thing with the way Riddick Bowe turned away from Lennox Lewis based on the whooping that Lennox Lewis gave him in the Olympics. We see the same thing with certain fighters, such as Gary Russell defeating Leo Santa Cruz, him not wanting that spoke as a professional. Terrence Crawford defeating certain fighters inside the amateur system. Some of those fighters not wanting to face him. So I think sometimes that does play a part. But I can't wait to see it. But I want to get to I'm not a gambling person, but I sure am probably going to put a bet down on Derenchenko just to test how comfortable I am with him beating Triple G tomorrow.
All right. Well, I find it interesting that when D-Style says that the guy doesn't protect himself against the third punch in a combination or whatever, but does Triple G throw combinations at all? I think I see the guy as a head hunting dude that loads up, and because these are two Eastern European guys, they're familiar with one another. It's just a matter of which person can make the adjustments against the other. And I think that Triple G is so one-dimensional that it leaves opportunity for Sergey to be a live dog in this fight. And being that Triple G is on the downside, he's 37, probably more like 39. And he has been avoiding serious threats because he is looking to secure the greater paydays without risk or injury. And sooner or later, when you fight like that with that type of mentality, you're going to slip on a banana peel. I remember watching the one fight where he was on HBO when he knocked that guy out. Forgive me, I don't remember his name, because that's who they are, right? The guys that Triple G fights. You don't remember their name unless it was Canelo, who he just fought twice in a row and beat him both times. But he knocked the guy out, but the guy was throwing a punch and it landed on Triple G, and he still knocked the guy out with his punch. And the HBO commentators were marveling like, oh, he took a shot, but he still delivered the knockout punch. I'm like, dude, the guy couldn't punch. The guy was like feather-fisted, okay? And, a 10-year-old could have took that shot. But Triple G looked like a beast. So ever since they tried to say he was up there, if not better, than Marvin Hagler, yeah, I've had it in for him, and I want to see him defeated because Marvin Hagler, to me, showed himself to be not even the class of his division, but fought a venerable who's who on his way to a title. He was so good they were trying to freeze him out like they're trying to do certain guys today. But Hagler, the men that he beat on his path to becoming a champion, could have been champions themselves. And they're trying to say that this man is on par with Marvin Hagler. What killer has he fought? What killer, even in this era, if there are any killers of this era on the flip side of he, who has he beaten? That's a killer. Who has he rematched? That's a killer. If you want to say Canelo is a killer, you're wrong. He's not. But as far as Triple G, to hell with that dude. I hope Sergey knocks him in tomorrow, like Mickey said to Rocky. You understand? Because it's time for him to leave. He has had a chance to do some things, and at each waking turn, he has avoided the opportunity to prove greatness or to have greatness measured. He's avoided that. And why he is chasing Canelo like he is, and D-Style said it's like a scorned lover. You know, give me one more chance. It's like, I don't understand that. And kudos for Canelo for really making him look even worse to wear, hanging him out like dirty laundry. You know, but to hell with Triple G. Let's go Deverenchenko. Get that bag and get that old bag out of here. That's how I feel about that.
Something real quick. Look, I think he's food for Andre, to be honest with you. I think the Charlotte fight is a little closer, but no, like this, he ain't that dude. He's not going to be the one. And now I don't know who the hell compared him to Hagler, but that dude should be hanged. Okay,
hey, they're not in business no more. That was the HBO staff. They were hyping him up, the best since Hagler, if not better. Am I right, Reggie?
Yeah.
Dude, it was ridiculous. D-Style, you didn't hear that? That was Jim Lampley and them at their worst talking about this guy, putting him up there with Hagler. They was trying to say he was about to break Bernard Hopkins' record and all of that. Man, get out of here, man. Just thinking about that gets me upset, man.
I mean, I'm with you. As far as that goes, it's laughable to even compare him to Bernard Hopkins. This didn't he have like the regular title or something? Like it wasn't even like a main title for a while.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You know, Bernard Hopkins was undisputed.
Yeah.
And he broke Monzon's record. It's like Bernard Hopkins put the work in, man. And he fought everybody. While Larry Merchant was making fun of his mandatories, he was clearing out the division. Something you hadn't seen since Larry Holmes was doing it in the heavyweight division. Bernard got all the belts. He fought all the mandatories, plus the guys in between there. The Antoine Eccles and all of those guys. You know, Bernard Hopkins just put the work in, man.
By the way, no one told HBO to buy those fights, by the way. I don't know what the hell they were complaining about. Okay. They broadcast the fight and they complained about the fight they broadcast. Yeah, that was the most bizarre thing when they would criticize Bernard Hopkins that way. Just a cheap plug. Next week is
one of the most disgraceful interviews after one of Hopkins' title defenses, and he had beat one of those mandatories who didn't belong in the ring with him, and he took care of him in good fashion, like a real champ is supposed to do. I think the fight went a few rounds. It didn't go over 4 or 5 rounds. And Larry Merchant was like, Bernard, aren't you ashamed of yourself that you're taking on opposition like this? And Bernard said, no, Larry. He said, I take on, they said he was a mandatory. I didn't pick him as a mandatory. The organizations did. And I fought him and I beat him. And that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm the champ. He was like, well, you know, you could have fought such and such and this and that or whatever. He was like, but that wasn't who the mandatory was, Larry. Holding on to his belts. Basically, this is what Hopkins' narrative was. Holding on to his belts after working so hard to acquire them all meant that he had to abide by what the sanctioning body's rules were, and he was doing it. But in the meantime, and in between time, he was still fighting everybody else who was someone in that middleweight division. And he was winning. He basically fought everybody from 1 to 10. So what can you say about that? So Larry Merchant ends the interview after speaking to Hopkins. He had to get the last punch and the last word in. And he's like, well, he's out here fighting all of these guys and he's got this ego in there, but I hope they beat him. I was like, who the fuck do Larry Merchant think he is? That's why when Floyd Mayweather was like, kick your ass, you know, and he was like, if I was 50 years younger, I'd kick your ass. Larry Merchant, good riddance to him. They let him stay on about 30 years too long. But it was fucking ridiculous listening to this guy. I mean, are you guys aware of this?
I am definitely aware of that interview that you're specifically talking about, and their bias towards some fighters and others, because I didn't hear any of that when Triple G beat, what was the dude's name? Dominic Wade? Am I getting that name right? Wade.
Yeah.
They actually an amazing, like this guy is amazing. Like, it's crazy, but yeah.
Man, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. But
with that said, it doesn't mean Derevchenko's going to beat him. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think that when it comes down to it like this, when fighters in Triple G's position, you just kind of want to see them pushed off the ledge, you know, because they're always dangling over, looking over. Oh, that's kind of a steep, you know, that's a steep drop there. Somebody just come up and kick him from behind and kick his ass over the cliff, because he's not trying to be a daredevil, you know. He's trying to be a guy that slips into something with success. I think the only reason that he fought Canelo initially was because he thought he was a little bit bigger and stronger than Canelo, and he thought he would get to him. But Canelo's elusiveness saved him, and his guile. You know, he picked up a lot with the experience he has from fighting as such a young kid, you know, more so than Triple G, because Triple G is just used to overpowering people, and with those selections of opponents, he's been able to be showcased. Well, Canelo came up learning. He was a quick study, and I've said that about him before. And he learned along the way, even from someone like Mayweather and his loss to Mayweather. He recognized that fighting certain type of athletic types he may not necessarily look good against, like Floyd Mayweather, Alexander Lara, those kind of guys. Maybe that's why he wasn't in a hurry to get in with a Demetrius Andrade or Jamal Charlo, because those men can move as well as fight, you know. But he still has plenty much and far enough to deal with people like Triple G, who are robotic and mechanical and have very little to no athleticism, you know. And he has to be victorious by you standing in front of him and letting him tee off on you. And that's something that Canelo is definitely not going to do. So that's the only reason.
He was waiting for him in the second fight. He was right in front of him.
But he was elusive. You see, his elusiveness, you know, some people say, oh, he got great defense. Being elusive and having great defense is two different things in boxing. You could be elusive where punches can miss and not land cleanly, and you make guys whiff. That's elusiveness. But defense is actually when something is coming in and you're able to stop it, defend against it, parry it, counter it, and make the other person pay all at the same time. which is, noteworthy in the pantheons of talking about defense and defending. And that's totally different from what Canelo does.
Well, in that second fight, I thought Canelo went toe to toe with him, and I thought Triple G went away from that. Canelo came at Triple G in that second fight, and that's what makes me think that Triple G really ain't no threat to these upper level guys. Because even Jacobs even expressed that about his power. But second fight, Canelo went towards Triple G and took his best shots.
Yes, I agree.
And HBO had these people thinking that second fight with Canelo was close, bro. It wasn't. No. Not in my eyes. It was not close.
No, it wasn't. Matter of fact, it was even a more definitive victory for Canelo because he was on the attack and he was right in front of the guy, and the guy still couldn't do much. And then he made the guy start backing up. And then all of a sudden, the guy wants to jab and try to jab his way out of things. But the jab wasn't an effective jab. It was a stay away from me jab. Huh? You saw his face after the fight. He looked like he got caught in the back alley after owing somebody $20.
It was Canelo's piñata for 12 rounds, okay? I give him like 4 rounds, but aside from that, it was Canelo's piñata for a while. Right?
Exactly.
Look, it was competitive, but it wasn't close to where you could say he won. That's just my opinion. A lot of people think that they have Triple G winning that fight. I don't know how. Like, I've watched that second fight so many times. I have no idea how anyone could score for Gennady Golovkin unless you really want to.
Yep.
Okay, now I will say, though, look, the criticisms for Triple G wouldn't be that harsh, right? If the hype, okay, was kind of, if they kept it down a little bit. It's just, they got to keep it down with the hype. It's hard to just enjoy a fighter for what he is when you start comparing him to these legends, right? In the sport, you start comparing him to a haggler. Because guess what? The critique, all right, piece you apart, all right. If you're going to take it to that level. So, like, we just got to let these fighters let them be in their era, right? Let's see what they can do, because when you start comparing them to legends, when you don't even know for sure how good they are, foolish, man. Like, Triple G is a good fighter. I will say that. He is a good fighter. But he's not what he was made out to be. He's not what a lot of people think he is. He ain't the boogeyman. He's very beatable. In my opinion, he lost that Jacobs fight. In my opinion, that first Canelo fight is either a win for Canelo or a draw, right? With Canelo, to me, blueprint, if I've ever seen one, to beat Gennady Golovkin, right? And it's real easy to score that fight, in my opinion, right? He won 4 rounds, and that's me trying to give the guy rounds, right? Because, I'm just saying. But that's all I got to say about that.
What about you, Reggie? What you got? You got anything you want to remark on that?
No, I agree with D-Style 100% on that one. And that's just the way I saw it. But even what you're saying about how people are trying to make it controversial, that's the problem with fandom. People are just overboard into being a fan of someone rather than being a true fan. Keeps things honest and real. And that's the reason why they were trying to scrap up, ways of finding Triple G as the winner or making it into a controversy because of this fandom that blinds them. But I agree 100% of everything that D-Style said.
Yeah. What about on the undercard of his fight? The super lightweight fight between Ivan Baranchyk and this guy Gabriel Bracero. What do you guys think about this fight? I don't know much about Bracero at all. And Baranchyk, he lost to was it Taylor?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with neither one of them.
Yeah, I think Baranchek was the one that Josh Taylor fought in his last fight, and he got a knockdown against Josh Taylor. Got a knockdown against Baranchek, which pretty much sealed the deal for him. But the guy looks like he throws a big left hook. He couldn't land it on Taylor though. He couldn't. It was like he was telegraphing it. Very robotic. Again, another one of those robotic Eastern European fighters. Bracero is like, I think he's been stopped twice and he lost 3. So definitely it's probably a showcase for Baranchek to possibly position him again for a future fight. But if he goes in there against a guy like Prograis or something, he's gonna be murdered. And then the rest of the
Bracero is he's okay. This dude lost to Paulo Malignaggi, bro. Okay.
Well, there you go.
But he's okay. Regional fighter, I think he's from Puerto Rico, but I don't see him winning this fight.
Yeah, that's what I said. They brought him in as an opponent. That's the one thing I don't like in certain fights. On the cards, you could see a stack where they're bringing a guy in. He's the opponent. Not necessarily a guy who's fighting for the right. Guys who fight for the right, always a live dog. But it's like the opponent, at some point during the fight, even if he's looking good, somebody is giving the slash the neck sign in the audience, like, okay, that's enough, and then he goes down from a body shot or something. So, it happens,
And bro, like the zone's paying these dudes so much money, but look at this undercard. Yeah, we have to try to like this one. Look at this. I'm just saying.
Dude, you can see better fights at a Golden Gloves tournament, man. This right here, I'm looking, I got my notes on the side too, and it's like, I'm like, whatever, I'll watch Baranchek and I'll watch Triple G, but that'll be about it. That'll be about it. So let's move on, fellas. What do you guys think about? And I think Reggie did a video on this guy. Avni Yildirim, the guy that failed the drug test again.
Oh yeah. When he fought Darrell, I was thinking the possibility of this dude being on something. Just from and my thoughts of thinking that is just how thinking of the tempers that people who use certain type of these steroid type drugs. This dude was just irate, uncontrol of his behavior. Following that fight, the way he lost. For some suspicion when this came out, I wasn't surprised, but it just makes it real bad for the fact that this dude was, after he was bitter about losing that belt, and then the WBC goes to order him as a mandatory to facing David Benavidez, and this pops up on this fool. This fool got to be the biggest dummy in the damn sport. Like most of these dudes who use this stuff, rather than putting in the work, being true to the sport, and people like that shouldn't be able to touch titles. They shouldn't be able to be champions. Champions are ones who put in the real work, put in the hard, natural type work. They should be, kept away from these titles for quite some time. But it's foolish for what this fool did at this point where he was given this, this huge lifeline of getting the second opportunity at a title shot. But he's a fool, and for some reason I'm not surprised by it, because I had thoughts when he fought Darrell of thinking like, man, this dude wired on something, man.
Yeah, what about you, D Styles? Have you been following that cat? I don't know very much about him, but I had heard the news and I had seen Reggie when he did his little piece talking about him. What do you know about this cat?
So when Reggie first brought him up, I was like, who? And then I looked him up, and yeah, like he lost to Anthony Terrell early this year. And I remember watching that fight, but I mean, I didn't memorize his name or anything. But thinking about it in a way, is that the guy, Reggie?
Yeah, that's him.
Okay, but yeah, look good because he's just in the way anyway. All right, look, man, I want to see Benavidez go after this either Smith, all right, or my preference, sell a plant, bro. Let's just get the fight on. I just want to see that fight.
Yeah. My thing about, and I did a show talking about this, the Lycan, Dillian White, and the cheating he's done in his last match. I have a thing about these cheaters in the sport that are using steroids and abusing PDs, because you're already in a sport where you're physically trying to do damage to the other person, and you're banging them upside their heads, and things like that. And it's like, so you're gonna put something in your body that could actually enhance you to a degree. I'm not saying it's gonna turn anybody into the Incredible Hulk, but dude, when you're hitting somebody upside their noggin, and maybe that stuff just gives you a little more PSI, toward the the surface of whatever it is you're pounding. I mean, they should be banished from the sport, man, if not go to jail. Because it's like, if a person, and you could be a person that have a loved one fighting in the ring, or a friend or something like that, and they get severely injured, and you find out this guy tested positive for D-ball or whatever. It's like, wouldn't you want to excite some kind of revenge or something? Huh? It's like, really? And these guys today seem to be taking the stuff as if like, he got caught, but they ain't gonna catch me, So it's like almost, every few fighters, somebody's doing something they ain't got no business doing. When all they have to do is get their asses out of the bed in the morning and get up and run, chop some firewood, jump some rope, spar some rounds, do their calisthenics. I mean, what the fuck, man? These guys don't want to put in the work. And this is the worst part about it. These guys put these PEDs and stuff in their systems, and they still don't come out looking body beautiful. Because you know why? They don't fucking do the work. They just want the drugs to miraculously turn them into Steve Rogers or some shit. Super soldier serum type shit. It ain't gonna happen, man. Get your ass in the gym and work. Otherwise, put these cuffs on and get your ass in the cell. Because that's what needs to happen to you. You fucking cheater. I'm sorry. I got a little excited. But that's how I feel about that, man. I know people. I know people who fight. I know people who box. And I don't want to see someone going up against one of my buddies, having cheated. That stuff that Dillian White pulled, I'm still upset about that one. I don't even want to hardly talk about it because I get to going in on him. I'm like, really? Somebody should, caught him with a sucker punch. You brothers, you done with that subject? We can move on if you got.
Check it out. Okay. Look, this is the most dangerous, right? By the numbers, anyway. According to numbers, the most dangerous combat sport, tag sport in the world. People die in a boxing ring because boxing is designed brutal. Playing patty kick in there, you don't, it's not really a cliche, but it's used as a cliche. But you don't play. And for some reason, they have fans that don't think this PED thing is a big deal. PED thing, it stops fights from happening. Fuck you. How about that? Right? They don't think it's a big deal, but these same people are the same ones that come out with their fake outrage fight mode ready for war in the ring, and he says something like, I want to put somebody in a body bag. Right now, is that something I particularly like to hear? No. I'm not gonna, these guys are ready for war. I'll tell you something. When a fighter dies in the ring, that is tragic. Right? Prize fighter. Prize fighters are a different breed, man. When we lose a prize fighter, okay, mourning in boxing, right? Like a journeyman fighter that dies in the ring, right? Because we appreciate what they do in the ring, what they sacrifice, and that chance that they take. But imagine killing somebody because you were juiced up to fucking gills. Honor in that. Zero in that. Like, oh, what's the big deal? If you take something that's not naturally yours and enhances your performance, okay, and two, if that difference kills somebody, you're a murderer, is what you are. That's all I got to say about that. And oh, by the way, Dillian White should, for life, for what he did. Did he pop dirty? And not only did this disgusting so-called, okay, and I'm using these words loosely, commission over there in the UK still hold that B sample. You guys do know that the A sample and the B sample is the same. It's the same sample. The two, right? That's it. Just in case of a false negative. Well, there's no reason to withhold it, but I'm digressing with that. Tamper with gloves, and make no mistake about it, this motherfucker tampered with gloves. Period. He needed, a buddy of mine needed gloves for the undercard. Shut the fuck up. How about that? Okay, you loaned your gloves to somebody because somebody in the undercard didn't have the gloves, okay, and you quote unquote fancied a different color pair. And then you already have them on, so we don't even know what you did with the wraps. Wraps are a fucking cast, right? This dude walked in, a heavyweight, walked in with a cast, and then freaking those were 8-ounce gloves, 9-ounce gloves. We don't know how many ounces they were. With Rivas teams walked in, this dude already has the gloves on. What do you mean he already has the gloves on? It does look, they look fine. No, they don't look fine. Off. Right? This is, to me, one of the most underrated stories. This is an outrage. That's what that is. The fact that this was allowed to happen is one of the most, it's mind-boggling to me. All right, that's it.
Absolutely, man. I feel the same way, man. Same way. Reggie, you got something on that before we move on?
No, I gotta let that one smoke. He laid it out perfectly. I gotta let it smoke.
For real. I'm gonna take a moment and go back into the chat for a little bit because I had skipped them for a little while. But we have some people out here who are participating, and we do have the likes are up to almost 30 likes. So if you guys who have come into the chat a little late and you haven't had a chance to hit that like button, please hit that like button. We got D-Style Boxing here as a special guest tonight. So give it up for the brother here. He took some time out of his busy schedule to come out here and talk to y'all. So y'all should at least show some support by, hitting that like button. Let him know there's some people that tuned in. Even if you're followers of his channel, hit that like button for that. You know what I mean? Because it's all love here on the Stormybman channel. I'm going to go back to we got Tony Boswell. He was talking about Hagler. He says Hagler was one of the greatest to do it and had one of the hardest times becoming a champion. PK Boxing and MMA. PK, I modded you up, bro. He says at Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens, money might have already come in on Deverenchenko and move the line closer. So I'm not sure though. AMG 2 says Triple G's contract way too big to lose on the cards. Deverenchenko's gonna need the knockout. Bond South D-Town says Andre Ward is one of the killers he ducked, talking about Triple G. And Trey X says, I watched as much of I could find of Hagler versus Mugabe recently. Yeah, man, what a fight. I got that one on VHS, Trey X. D-Style was talking about VHS earlier. My VHS collection on boxing is stupendous. You know, you think you was looking at the ESPN library, what I got, man. And I ain't going to tell you where I live either, because you're going to be trying to break in and take my boxing tapes. Tony Boswell says, I like B-Hop, but he can act like a little tool. Yeah, I think that's that CTE. Bonton South D-Town says, now we know why HBO is gone. Going back to our references to the HBO commentators. Tony Boswell says, B-Hop told him. Yes, he did. Larry Merchant. And Bonton South D-Town says, no, big drama show. Sheldon Holmes says, what's up, Sheldon? He says, Antoine Eccles will probably knock out every current top middleweight. Tony Boswell says, Larry was a racist prick. AMG is laughing. Mike Hennigan says Triple G is a hyped up fight job created by HBO. Not far from the truth there. Tony Boswell says salute to AMG. Also, Stormybman spitting facts. Thank you, bro. AMG says, I hope Deverenchenko wins, but then them scorecards pre-made. Triple G got his own personal DAZN contract. Yeah, I don't like it. Hey, man, you know, the dude is 37 going on 39, like I said, and maybe he, you know, gets real old in one night. It could happen, especially if some good body work is put in on his ass. You know, that's what I've never really seen nobody do, put that body work on Triple G. You know, he apparently that big old tank of a head, you know, pumpkin head, he could take a shot. So take those shots down to the body. The liver don't know the power of a shot. It just know it been hit. So let's see who else we got. Mark Pinkerton, he retracted his statement. Miss Boxing says facts. Tony Boswell says I agree. Ronald Finkley is in the house. He says salute to the boxing heads at Stormybman. Don't forget the panel, brother. Ronald Finkley is okay, I read it. Mark Wunderlich says, Mark Pinkerton, get out of here with that. What else we got? Yeah, Tony Boswell says, what happened to hard work? That's what I was saying. What happened to hard work? These guys, they want to cut corners and take the easy route today. We're seeing far too much of that. Mike Hennigan says at Mark Pinkerton, this is no troll zone, so disappear. That's right. If he's trolling, get him out of here. You know, Stormybman feel about that. Dark Truth says that Stormybman salute. Tony Boswell says don't do it. Mark Wunderlich, he's saying again, okay, what is this? What is going on with this Mark Pinkerton guy? I don't know, man. Kevin Stenhouse says salute Stormy in chat. Tony Boswell is laughing. What else we got here? Mark Wunderlich says, sorry, Stormy B, man. I'm tired of people talking about Bud and Spence. The only fights I'm paying for is Wilder versus anyone and Spence versus Crawford. Hey, you got a right to pay for what you like, man. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't talk about what everybody else is talking about if everybody been talking about it 2,000 times. You know what I mean? So I don't even have, you know, we touched on that fight from last week. At the beginning of the show, we said our piece on it, and we moving on. That's the way it's going to be. Let's see. I'm going to skip down a little bit because we got quite a few in there that said some things. Let's see. Bond South D-Town says, and nobody is talking about it but the LDBC and new media. Bam Bam Tweed says, in the house, salute D and Reggie. Mike Hennigan says, VHS is a sign of our times. Absolutely, Mike Hennigan. You know, VHS was one of the best things for man's invention for home, you know, videotape, VCRs. You know, the kids today don't know the struggle when your VCR tape got caught in the machine and it started crinkling up and it was your favorite show. And for some of y'all, your favorite porn, you nasty so-and-so, watching all that filthy stuff. Yeah, VHS. But, hey, brothers, let's finally get down to something that happened today. Late in the day, we find out at the weigh-in, there was a situation that took place between the camps of Miss Habazine, I can't say her name, but and Clarissa Shields, and the trainer. So, Reggie, you actually introduced me to the news as I was on my way home. So you want to enlighten us and the chat and anyone else, including D-Style, if you know a little bit more about it, can you tell us what happened, man, so we can all chop it up on this?
Yeah, so the gist of it is during the weigh-in, I guess Carissa just come off the scales, and there was a back and forth between Ivana's trainer, the OG, him and Carissa Shields' sister going back and forth. Carissa Shields' sister is, you know, what we can, express or describe as being a dyke. So her and Bashir are going back and forth with one another, and he's telling her to back up, putting his hand in her face, like telling her to back up, you know, and saying like, she's a woman still, but he's letting her know, like, back the F up or you get knocked the F out, or something like that. They're going back and forth. A lot of heated words. Someone on stage, you know, kind of break them apart. Still words are being said. Him speaking in the tones, talking to her, calling her, all right, yeah, I could say lesbian, D-Style, but more of the masculine lesbian is what Clarissa Shields' sister is like. So they're going back and forth. So he's walking over to be seated kind of towards the back row of the seats that are laid out, kind of where the media and other team members for the fighters are being weighed in. So he's sitting there. They got a little back and forth, and she's saying something back and forth. So they leave it at that. And mind, this is an older trainer. I believe I've been hearing he's about 71 or something like that. So he's sitting down. They break apart. They go in there speaking speaking amongst other people in the media, having a huddle. Pretty sure they question about what went on, what transpired between the conversation. Some young dude sucker punches this old man. Looks like he broke his jaw, but he also knocked the man out. And from there, it can't. So in the photos you see Ivana on top of her trainer trying to wake him up. He's unconscious. She's crying. She's grieving all this. Their fight is canceled. So now someone within this entourage has ruined this opportunity of Clarissa Shields fighting back home. This big time purse that I'm hearing about. So I've been hearing what the $1 million payout is supposed to be for her. It ruined everything. And now this dark cloud has been casted over Clarissa Shields and her associations. And then I'll leave from there, and then I guess we kick into it. But that's kind of the buildup of what happened.
Wow, man. See, I just got the full gist of everything from what you explained. I had known what happened, but I didn't hear the whole story yet because I was too busy getting everything ready for this evening's show. And wow, just wow. But I'll tell you something. You can't bring the streets into business, even though some people try to do it all the time. For Clarissa Shields, it's a heck of a embarrassment. It was supposed to be our homecoming. That was actually the title for the promotion, Homecoming. You know, her story. Well, that's not such a good story. And I'm not going to ridicule it. I'm not going to be sarcastic and make comments that are unfavorable. The only thing I'll say is that it is a terrible black eye on the sport. It's a terrible black eye for her, because I am certain some lawsuits and everything are going to come into play. She'll probably be sued on the event as well, because there was promotion behind it and everything. Dude, this is ugly. This is really, really ugly. The closest thing I can remember to something like this is when Riddick Bowe hit what's his name at the press conference, Larry Donald. You know, he stood up there on the dais and just took a two-punch combination to Donald's face, and Donald didn't have to fight him. He didn't end up with any broken bones in his face, which he could have, or Bowe could have broke his hand. But Larry Donald still elected to go through with the fight, but commenced to fight the fight like a scared man. And he was riding the wave of some very good victories leading up to that fight with Bowe, so much that the odds makers had made it kind of a close fight with Bowe and his recent shenanigans. And so it turned out to be a terrible final product, but I could see why this event would be canceled with this young lady's trainer being in distress. It's just a horrible, horrible thing to happen. And I hope that people are watching this as far as other fighters out there in their camps, and they pull together and realize what's important here, and that you got to leave the urchins alone and outside of these events, because I'm sure that wasn't something that anyone in close to Miss Shields would endorse. But then again, I don't know those people. So what do you have to say on this, D-Style? What do you think, brother?
I think that the people that are not the fighters need to stop trying to be the fighters. What I think. All right. I'm not too familiar with the situation, just because, like you, I wasn't home. You know what I mean? I just got home right before this show started. So the only grasp I have is from what Reggie has described. I will say this, though, man. Bro, what are you doing? Like, you're punching the guy. You know what I mean? Don't understand like what's going through the mind of this individual. Does anyone know, Reggie? Who is that guy? Is he related to Clarissa, or what's the deal?
From what's being put out there, they're saying it's Clarissa's brother.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's just not do that, bro. You know what I mean? It's you got to respect your elders. Number one. Number two, it's not your fight. It's not your event. You know what I mean? And if an old man is talking shit to you, just walk away, man. Just walk away. And by the way, it doesn't matter if you hit him from behind to his face. He shouldn't have done it. All right. And it's definitely a black guy for boxing, man. And from my understanding, it canceled the fight. Maybe not the event, but the main event. I have an issue with that, but I just think a lot of these people in the corners and entourages and all that, they need to like.
I mean, what would make you hit a 70-year-old man? Seriously. One thing I know about old people is this. They are unapologetic who they are. You know what I mean? They live this life to this particular age to be comfortable in their skin. As we live our lives as younger people, we F up all the time and expect the world to give us a break and a reprieve. But once you reach senior status, you kind of feel like you've put your work in and you're reserved to say what you think. But at the same time, as you get older in life, you recognize this in older people, and you say, that's just an old man talking. That's an old lady talking. That's what they do. Why would you want to put your hands on a senior citizen. Seriously. And whatever happened to sticks and stones? Huh? What words could that old man have said, true or not, be enough to affect that this fight don't take place? Now you got to deal with people possibly being arrested and jailed and charges being pressed. You got to have lawsuits. I mean, seriously. You have to leave the streets to the streets. I saw a video earlier this afternoon where they showed Clarissa on Showtime. They, doing behind the scenes stuff, and she's driving around in her nice little sports car and everything. And I'm saying to myself, oh, look at her, she flashing and fronting. But you could take them out of that place, but you can't take that place out of them. Huh?
Man, and yeah, go ahead.
Let me tell you something, man. I mean, he's not with us anymore, but if somebody hit my grandpa, I don't give a shit who you are. I don't care what. Oh, no, but I just saw Blood say that there's some young kids. I'm assuming they're kids. Must be ignorant as shit defending this. How do you defend this? What's the matter with people? People like retarded, dude. About this like the generation below me. I don't know what it is. I think I'm the last great generation. Okay, like my age group. I'm 35. You know what I mean? Only like these younger generations do you have shit like the knockout game, or just knocking out elderly people. And now you got this dude knocking out, Bashir. Like I don't know what the hell's going on. Okay. But like I could picture a young little punk saying something like, well, that's what he get for running his mouth. If you run your mouth, shut up. All right. Shut your fucking mouth. All right. That's what you need to do. People alone. Okay. These games. And to be honest with you, a community out there, every single last one of them. Right. Old dude like this gets assaulted like this. Sound harsh. Those kids need to just disappear. These kids, I don't know. We never heard from them again. Police report. I don't know where they are. I know that sounds harsh as shit, and I know I'm insinuating something really harsh. Okay, but people like that, kids like that, they need to just disappear. With them, if you know what I like, I know what happened to them. They're gone. Okay? Hey, man, don't hit these old folks. Why? I don't know. You just disappear when you hit an old dude. Right? I don't give a shit what an elderly person tells you. I don't, okay. I bump into an old man, then he starts shooting me out. Now, watch where you're going. Like, even though it wasn't my fault. You know what I mean? But, I'm not going to, knock the dude out, or even look, dude, I'm from an age where you don't even raise your voice at an old dude, right? Or an old woman, whatever. Voice at them. My voice, dude, my grandmother, my grandfather, or any elderly person, I'd get slapped in the face as a kid if I just raised my voice. They want to go out here and, but you know what he said, though? I don't give a shit what he said. Old man said, you don't punch old dudes in the face. And I got to be honest with you, dude, anyone who assaults old people like that, and what happened to them? I don't know. They're in the back of a milk carton. That's just my opinion on that. That's my opinion, right? But that's all I got to say about that.
Man, my thoughts on it, man. Bunch of whole people when it comes to the society we live in. And even in this act of taking out frustration on an old man, regardless of whatever kind of man it was, you don't respond to words all the time.
people don't know how to behave, or they want to play gangster, play soldiers, but they react in the most buffoonish of ways. And what this dude did, knowing what kind of money was on the line and how much at risk he can put an event by taking upon the action he did, he's a buffoon. And on top of that, Clarissa needs to know what kind of people to have around her. And I always hear Coach always speaking on Clarissa in her mouth and how she overboard goes with things. And it just adds more into what people have started to kind of portray and look at her as. And now you got certain people who shouldn't be going out, turning your back on folks. I let that be known with people in my family, and they know what the deal is. My brother's like that. My brother's a fool who I can't even bring around people because he mess around, F around, and kill you. And this is just what it is. So you got to know the separation of things when it comes to the state of what you're in and what you're elevating towards. Now, for this woman to be in a position of where $1 million is possibly on the line, she's a damn fool. And for that brother to do commit such an act, he's a damn fool, and he ought to be punished by the family physically for what he done. He didn't set this family way back. And also upon that, Clarissa, like OG Blood Boxing was saying, and I was watching that after I heard that something happened at the event, and then I see her on Instagram going live, speaking about how it ain't her team and this and that, and trying to be defending herself, cussing folks out in the comments and this and that, rather than showing, a little bit of compassion for what happened to the coach. She ain't showing none of that. She's being defensive, going into this defensive posture, and that kind of shows a sign of it must be somebody connected with her for her to have this response to stuff like that. But or control your own conversation. Don't listen to the comments. Sidestep it. But now she's in this defensive mode, and now it's coming out that it's her brother. And this fool to take this act, we got to realize we live where everything is under surveillance, and especially an event like that. And you're going to take on a cowardice act that you thought was gangster. Now you done set your family back. Clarissa Shields' money is messed up. People who do the investment, the ones that, because Clarissa ain't writing no check. These are people with the financial backing that put money towards it. You think they're going to want to mess with this chick anymore? She's going to have to do a lot of apologizing, some deep soul searching, and some sit downs with people in her family. But that's some little cornball whole shit that dude did. And some things come with repercussions. Like you said, this is somebody's grandfather. You don't know what kind of people this dude got in his family. And people are easily be touched. That's why you have to be a little more in control with emotions, man. And that's the problem with folks. People lack emotional intelligence because they ain't being raised by men. And this is the problem in society. Too many mothers are raising these dudes. You raising dudes with feminine qualities, feminine, irrational reactions to things with the physical strength of a man. Because
feminine assholes. Say it, Reggie.
Feminine assholes, exactly. That's who's being raised. And that's why they say a woman can't raise a man, and that's too much of what's happening. Even when you look at her sister, something's wrong with the sister. So this is really what it boils down to, but it's also a kind of a reflection of what happens within society and a lot of that hood society stuff. And I'm a product of it, but I ain't hood acting at all. I'm cool, always been cool my whole life. Always, because I always took pride in who I am. I ain't never been to where I'm hostile towards my own people, but I've seen it so much of where I come from. I come from where y'all watch movies on shit in LA, and a lot of it just happens to be true, and it's sickening, man. And this is what you see. And what happens in our cities is what happens in all cities in America. LA no different, so I can't even say that. But what we seen was real punkish type behavior from this dude, man, and it's some clown shit that he did. He ain't tough by it. And he done set his family back way, way back. And hopefully, I pray that Clarissa Shields doesn't get set back. But from the way I look at it, when it comes to money and the way people invest, and already looking down upon black athletes to begin with, and let alone how they look down on female athletes. So from her not knowing who to bring with her and who can't come with her, it done effed her over. And her getting on that Instagram doing that shit she did, and it's too late. She can't even take it back because it's probably recorded by other folks and put all over. So now they about to slander the hell out of her. And if it comes out that that's her brother, very bad look for Clarissa.
Listen, man, this is the extent of where she and her people who were all involved and a part of this atrocious act. This is the extent of how these things can go. This man was 70 years old. He's a senior citizen. Yes, he's a boxing coach and trainer. Yes, he's probably managed a young lady or whatever, and he's been years in and around professional sports, or at least some degree working with young ladies such as the one he's working with, if not young men too. At his age, for what has incurred to him, this man could have permanent damage. He could have a blood clot. He could die. And I'm not saying these things hoping that these horrible outlooks take place. But I'm just saying these are things to start thinking and worrying about. And for the people on the side of who decided to take these type of actions, what you have done is you've halted the money train. You've halted that bag that, you thought you guys were going to be riding on the success and hard work and efforts that Ms. Shields had begun to build with people who were helping her to be a professional. You've thrown all that in the garbage because she's high risk now. The people that follow her to a promotion, you got other athletes out there who may have been lining up to have their opportunity to step up to a nice payday to face her and everything, be concerned and say, wow, look at these people. They don't know how to handle themselves. Hey, I don't want to go that route. Showtime could decide to say, hey, we want to part ways. You cost us a lot, and we put a lot invested in you. These things can happen. Think she thought about that while she was posting Instagram smart aleck remarks and shit? She could find herself right back where she came from with who she know, and that'll be what it is. When I spoke earlier on Smoke City Mobcast about taking care of home first before you go out to battle, because if you happen to be successful in battle, when you come home, you can rest on your laurels. You want to have to come back to more battles. This kind of thing was included in what I was talking about, because this kind of thing, unchecked, leads to those other things I was talking about. Unchecked. It is time for people to wake up, take a look in the damn mirror, and recognize what the damn problem is. What the damn problem is. The problem isn't external. The problem is internal. Okay? And the problem doesn't get cleaned up by putting on makeup. The problem gets cleaned up through cleansing. You have to do away with the old ways. You have to do away with the old manner of thinking. You have to do away with that old manner of doing, because those things are what kept you mired in the miseries that you experienced the entire time. But because you were mired in mud and covered in it and filth, you became acclimated to it and didn't know the damn difference from what being cleaned up really means. How in the hell Can anybody respect that? How in the hell could anybody want to deal with that? You see it every day across America, and it's in communities that's familiar to you and I. I'm here in the Chi. It's brothers killing brothers every day on the streets of the Chi. They don't even have a reason. But they got guns. They can't even shoot straight. But they kill people. Half of them can't even spell their damn name or sign a check. But they out here spraying gang graffiti and all this foolishness on walls and shit. And it's all short-lived. When are people going to learn? When are they going to look in the mirror? Maybe they have a hard time looking in the mirror because of all the broken glass. Now, think about it. Clarissa Shields, this is not the example that the people were trying to set you up to be. This is not. And at this point, apologies and things like that may be a formality, but the ugliness has already shown itself. And people don't necessarily give a damn about your apologies, especially when it's their granddad, their uncle, their father, that this happened to. I know I wouldn't give a damn about your apology if there were one forthcoming. But it doesn't look like you're smart enough to even know that. Just a few months ago, people were celebrating you. People were bigging you up. People were like putting you in a place of high acclaim. How fast it can all come tumbling down. And it ain't even got to be by your hands. It could be guilt by association. Isn't that how it usually happens? Someone on the outside connected to you. You were just in the car going for a ride, but the vehicle was stolen. So you're an accessory. You get 10 to 15 too. This is how the people look at you. They already think that there's no beauty in you. And here you go out of your way to show the ugliness that's inside of you. It's hard for people to respect something like that. Very hard. It's hard to come back from something like this. But it can be done. But it won't be done overnight. And if you don't think it's important, that's a terrible oversight. That's all I got to say about that.
Let it smoke.
Well said, man.
You know, as we go into this weekend, we'll have some time to reflect on matters even more. I hope that the Triple G fight with Sergey turns out to be something entertaining for us and give us something. I hope that the battle that Jaron Enos is having with was that Daniel Fernandez? I hope he has a chance to look stellar, but also put in enough rounds where he can provide some entertainment. I do hope he prevails. He should be favored, but this is a chance for him to shine, and since he's going to get this opportunity to be the main event, he should capitalize on it. But he also should take this lesson that has been on display for everyone. He should take that to heart. And he's a young brother, and hopefully he's smart enough to do that, or at least the people that are around him can get in his ear. And all the other young prospects out there, whether we're talking about Haney, we're talking about Tank Davis, we're talking about what's the other brother's name, Shakur Stevenson, and all of these young brothers out here like that they get their acts together, man. Hopefully. But it's a long shot. It's a long shot. Can you go ahead and give us some final words there, Reggie? Give us some final words.
Yes, indeed, man. I enjoyed this Friday night chop session, man. It was a great conversation, great talk with you brothers. Like we say, conversation rules the nation, so it's always good to politic and communicate with one another, man. Great conversation, and another fight week, man. Boxing has been something great, man, in the last few years for me. It's like every week I'm getting a treat to be able to sit at home and watch some good sport that I've always loved. But that's all I have, man. Great chop session, man. And can't wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow's the Eye of the Storm, right?
Yeah, tomorrow morning is the Eye of the Storm, 10 a.m. Central. And the
Yes,
guest
indeed.
will be Miss Boxing.
I'll be there. I'll be there tuning in. But that's all I got, man. Thank you once again for bringing me on. Thanks for another great show. Thanks for the chat, everyone who watched, everyone who will be watching on the archives. Thank you guys for coming through, supporting, and listening to us.
Yes, sir, and appreciate you being here, brother. You help hold it up real strong. And when we do sign off, I want you two brothers to stay on the app for a few minutes so we can chop. Next, my brother D Style. Thank you so much for being here with us this evening and joining the Friday night chop session. I know my channel is relatively new to you, but I hope that you take some time out to go back and look at some of the content so you can see exactly where I'm coming from. And I hope that you would like to come back and cook with us some more. We enjoy having you. We love what your angle and point of view is. And I look forward to having you in the future on the end of Eye of the Storm. But do you have some final words for us this evening?
This is the calm before the storm, but I enjoyed being here, man. Thank you very much for inviting me on. Look, you guys can catch me, man, Mondays through Thursdays, 10 p.m. Eastern time. I do a panel on Mondays, week and recap, and I have Ashy Knuckles, one of the best, breakdowns, in all of YouTube. I have them on Tuesdays, and I have Reggie on Thursdays, G-Funk for Latino, Mexican, Wednesdays. So a lot of great content. I'm in the works of doing Story, Will the Boxing Gods Volume 2. You guys can check that out on my main page on my channel. And now, and definitely, I definitely want to be in the eye of the storm. Make no mistake about that. Okay, I can't promise every Friday. I do get a little busy, but once in a while, I could definitely come on Fridays for sure as well. Once again, thanks for having me on, and for the chat. Were you not entertained?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what's up, man. And you're always welcome, man. You're always welcome. One thing you'll know about me is I do everything with respect, man. I put it out there. Some people might even not even believe in the philosophy of putting it out first. I believe if I extend it out first, you never know what can return in the midst of that, because some people are just not used to being treated well, man. You understand? But I understand what that's all about as well. So I make you welcome, brother. You come over here, we can chop it up, we can laugh, we can be sarcastic or whatever, but it's all done with respect and everything. And just know that you got support over here on the Stormybman channel. Even if it's only me by myself, you got my support. And I appreciate you, man. And I appreciate Reggie Owens as well. And I appreciate everybody that's out there in the chat. For the rest of everyone that I didn't get a chance to read all of the comments because we were cooking so much on a variety of subjects, I want you to understand that you're not overlooked, okay? But you're included in that conversation because we could read as we're going along on the content to cover and know that we're just trying to spit it out there and put it out there and give you something that's very feasible, something that is good for you to listen to and consider. So, you know, as we talk and go forward, we're going to have more good shows for you. As I said, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Central, we're going to have the latest edition of In the Eye of the Storm, where the guest will be Miss Boxing. And so we'll be doing that. And then next week, we'll have another chop session at the end of the week. And also look for Scrapbook Boxing, who will be the next guest on In the Eye of the Storm after Miss Boxing on Saturday the 12th. That'll be Scrapbook Boxing. He put it in the chat earlier, so I'm nailing him down on that date. And y'all tell Scrapbook when y'all see him on those other chats, hey, Scrap, don't forget Stormy next weekend on In the Eye of the Storm, so he don't forget. He'll try to act like he forget. You know, he getting kind of old too, so he might have, you know, a little bit of Alzheimer's or something. So we have to remind him and keep him out there. Know that he's going to be in the eye of the storm after Miss Boxing. So with all of that being said, brothers and sisters, we appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. It's been another edition of the Friday Night Chop Session with Stormybman. And for my guest, Reggie Owens, Boxing Conversations with Reggie Owens, I'm sorry, and D-Style Boxing, we're going to say good night to you all. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the fights tomorrow night. And peace to everybody.
Peace. Keep it boxing.